I call you after every terrible date because you're the only person who makes me feel like I'm not completely broken, I continued. The words came out before I could stop them. My throat tightened immediately after. Maya didn't speak. She just stared at me through the screen like she was afraid that if she blinked, I'd disappear or take the words back. Chloe shifted slightly behind her. Even she went quiet. I leaned forward in my chair, elbows on my desk, trying to steady my breathing. I didn't know, I said, quieter now. I didn't know you felt like that. Maya let out a shaky breath. That's the problem, she whispered. You never knew. The way she said it wasn't angry. It wasn't even blaming. It sounded tired, like she had carried it for so long that it had stopped feeling like something that could be fixed. I swallowed hard. I know, I said. And I'm sorry for that. Not for how you feel, but for how blind I've been. Chloe crossed her arms tighter. Okay, she said carefully. So what now? The question hung in the air. I didn't have a perfect answer. No prepared speech. No clean resolution. Just the truth sitting in my chest like it had been waiting years to come out. I don't want to lose you, I said finally. My voice cracked slightly. And I don't think I ever did. Maya looked down again. Her fingers curled into the sleeves of her sweater. That's what scares me, she said softly. Because I don't think I can go back to pretending I don't feel this anymore. Silence again. But this time it felt different. Not empty. Just fragile. Like one wrong word could break everything or finally fix it. I nodded slowly. Then don't pretend, I said. Her eyes lifted. Don't pretend, she repeated. I shook my head. No more pretending we're just best friends if that's not the full truth. Chloe exhaled sharply behind her. Finally, she muttered under her breath. Maya didn't react to that. She was still looking at me like she was trying to decide if I meant it or if this was just emotional shock talking. I'm not saying I have all the answers, I continued. I don't even know what this is going to look like yet. I paused. But I know what I feel when you're not in my life in the way you always have been. Maya's eyes softened slightly, but her voice stayed cautious. And what is that supposed to mean, Noah? I leaned back in my chair, rubbing my face with one hand. It means I spend my whole day thinking I'm fine, I said. And then something happens, and you're the first person I want to tell. I looked at her again. And I've been calling that friendship because I was too scared to call it anything else. Maya's breath hitched slightly. Her eyes glistened again, but she blinked it away quickly. You don't get to just say that, she whispered. After 6 years, you don't get to just say that and expect everything to make sense. I know, I said immediately. And I'm not expecting it to. The room went quiet again. Even Chloe stepped back a little, like she knew this wasn't hers anymore. Maya wiped under her eye quickly, frustrated now more than anything. So what are you saying? She asked. That you love me too? The question hit harder than anything else so far. Because it wasn't hopeful. It was scared. Like she was bracing for disappointment again. I looked at her for a long second. And this time, I didn't hesitate. Yes, I said. I think I always have. I just didn't know how to admit it without risking you. Maya's lips parted slightly. Her breath trembled. For a second, she looked like she might speak. But nothing came out. Instead, she just shook her head once, small and disbelieving. You're saying that now, she whispered. After I already told you how long I've been feeling this? I nodded. Yeah. My voice was quiet. And I hate that it took me this long to understand it. Silence stretched again. This one heavier than before. Then Maya leaned back slightly in her chair, covering her mouth with her hand. I don't know what to do with this, she said honestly. I don't either, I admitted. That's the first thing we agree on tonight. A broken laugh escaped her. It wasn't happy, but it wasn't pain either. Just overwhelmed truth finally spilling into the open. Chloe looked between us. Okay, she said finally. I'm gonna go make tea or something before I start crying in a way I can't explain to myself. She walked out of frame. Maya didn't stop her. It was just the two of us again. The screen felt too bright now. Too honest. Maya stared at me for a long moment. Then she whispered, "So what happens now, Noah?" I exhaled slowly. And for the first time all night, I didn't try to hide behind uncertainty. "Now," I said. "We stop pretending we don't matter to each other." Maya closed her eyes for a second. When she opened them again, there was something softer there. Not fixed. Not resolved. But real. "Okay," she said quietly. "But we do this slowly." I nodded immediately. "Slow is fine." She gave a small, shaky breath. "Because I can't lose you," she added. I didn't hesitate this time either. "You won't." And for the first time since the screen had lit up, she smiled. Not fully. But enough. Enough to feel like something new had just started breaking through everything we had spent years trying to ignore. "Hey, my name is Noah Bennett. I'm 27 and I live in a small apartment in Capitol Hill, Seattle. I work as a freelance video editor for small advertising agencies and a handful of YouTube channels that still can't afford full-time staff. It's not glamorous, but it pays the rent and lets me set my own hours. Most days I'm sitting in front of two monitors with noise-canceling headphones on, cutting footage until my eyes feel like they're going to burn out. There's one person I call the second anything happens in my life. Good or bad. Her name is Maya Collins. She's 26, works as a UI/UX designer for a startup building productivity apps, and she's been my best friend since freshman year of college. We met in a required communications class. I was the guy who always showed up late with coffee stains on his notebook. She was the one who actually took notes properly and somehow still had time to drag me through the semester. We pulled all-nighters together on group projects, ate instant noodles in her dorm when neither of us had money for real food, and stayed up until 4 a.m. talking about the kind of people we wanted to become. When I got dumped by my first serious girlfriend sophomore year, Maya showed up at my apartment with 2 pints of ice cream and didn't leave until I stopped spiraling. When she lost her first internship, I drove her to the next interview and waited outside in the car for 2 hours. People always assume we're together. We get it. The way we finish each other's sentences, the way silence doesn't feel awkward between us, the way she's the first person I text when anything good or terrible happens. But we're not. We've never been. I've repeated that to myself so many times it sounds automatic now. We're just best friends. That's what I say. Maya usually just smiles and changes the subject. Tonight started like a lot of nights lately. I had just come back from another date from one of those apps I keep telling myself I'm going to delete. Her name was Tessa. She was attractive, worked in marketing, and within the first 15 minutes she had already asked how much I made last year, whether I owned property, and if I was serious about financial stability. I tried steering the conversation toward movies or travel or literally anything else, but she kept circling back like she was interviewing me for the position of future husband. I left after the main course, made up something about an early client call. The second I got home, I kicked off my shoes, opened my laptop, and called Maya like I always do. She answered on the second ring, sitting on her couch in an oversized sweater, eating cereal straight from the box. Her hair was tied up in that messy bun she wears when she's had a long day. The second she saw my face, she smiled. "Another one bites the dust?" she asked, mouth full of cereal. I leaned back in my chair. She asked me about my 5-year financial plan during appetizers. Maya laughed so hard she almost choked. "Noah, I keep telling you, you're not going on dates. You're going to job interviews for the role of stable boyfriend with good credit." "Tell me about it," I said. At this point I should just put my W-2 on my profile and save everyone time. She was still smiling, but something in her eyes looked tired for a second. I didn't notice it then. I was too busy venting. "I don't know why I keep doing this," I said. "Every time I meet someone it feels like I'm checking boxes instead of actually connecting. Maybe I should just delete the apps for real this time." Maya went quiet for a moment. "You've said that before." "Yeah, well, this time I mean it." She gave me a small smile that didn't quite land. You always say that too. We talked for another hour. The usual things. She told me about a client who kept changing a design at the last second. I told her about a video project where the color grade was driving me insane. We made fun of our mutual friend Grant, who had started wearing beanies indoors like he was in a music video. It was easy. It's always easy with Maya. Around 11:45 she yawned and stretched. I should sleep. Early meeting tomorrow. Yeah, me too, I said, even though I wasn't. Thanks for listening. Again. Always, she said. Then she tilted her head slightly like she wanted to say something else. But she didn't. She just smiled. Good night, Noah. Good night, Maya. I watched her reach for her laptop to end the call. The screen flickered black for a second, then came back. I thought it was lag. I was about to close my laptop when I heard another voice in the background. Chloe. Her roommate. I should have ended the call right there. I didn't. Chloe's voice came through clearly. Was that Noah again? Maya sighed. I could see her now, turned slightly away from the camera. She didn't know I was still there. Yeah, she said. Chloe walked into frame holding a glass of water. You know at some point you're going to have to stop letting him do this to you. Maya didn't answer right away. She stared at the floor. He calls you every time a date goes bad, Chloe continued. He tells you about every girl. And you just sit there like it doesn't hurt you every single time. I know, Maya said quietly. Then why do you keep doing it? Silence. When Maya finally spoke, her voice was barely there. Because I love him, Chloe. I've loved him for a long time. But he only calls me when someone else disappoints him. My entire body went cold. She kept going, her voice breaking slightly. He doesn't see me like that. He never has. And if I tell him, I lose him. At least this way I still get to have him in my life. Chloe put a hand on her shoulder. Maya, I'm fine, she said, even though she clearly wasn't. I've been fine for 6 years. That was when I spoke. Maya! Everything froze. She turned slowly toward the screen. Her face went pale. You're still there? I swallowed hard. Yeah. 3 seconds of silence. Then she slammed the laptop shut. The screen went black. I didn't move for a long time. The apartment was silent except for the hum of my computer and rain hitting the window. I sat there replaying every word in my head. I've loved him for a long time. He only calls me when someone else disappoints him. 6 years. 6 years of pretending it was just friendship. 6 years of calling her every time something fell apart and convincing myself it meant nothing. And she had been doing the same thing. I don't know how long I sat there. Then the screen turned on again. Maya's face appeared. She looked like she had been crying. Red eyes. Messy hair. Breathing uneven. Chloe stood behind her with crossed arms, looking like she wanted to fight me through the screen. You're still there, Maya said quietly. I nodded. Yeah. How much did you hear? Enough. Silence again. Heavy this time. Maya looked down. You weren't supposed to hear that. I know. Then why didn't you leave? My voice came out rough. Because I couldn't move. Because everything you said felt like someone finally turned on a light in a room I've been sitting in for years without realizing it was dark. She didn't respond. Chloe leaned in. Noah, if you're about to say something stupid. I'm not, I cut in. My heart was pounding. I've been doing the same thing, I said. I've been comparing every girl I meet to you. And none of them ever come close. Maya's lips parted, but nothing came out. I thought I was just bad at dating, I continued. But I've been measuring everyone against the one person I was too scared to lose. Tears filled her eyes. I call you after bad dates because you're the only person who makes me feel like I'm not completely alone, I said. And I kept pretending that was normal. She shook her head slightly. Noah! I leaned closer to the camera. I've been in love with you for so long I don't even remember what it felt like before. Her breath hitched. I buried it because losing you felt worse than saying it out loud. So I stayed safe. And I let you stay safe too. A tear slipped down her cheek. You don't get to say that just because you feel guilty, she whispered. You don't get to turn 6 years into a confession because you overheard something. I'm not turning anything into anything, I said. I'm finally saying what I should have said years ago. Chloe muttered. About damn time. Maya shook her head. This is too much. I can't. I need time. I'm coming over, I said. She froze. What? I'm not doing this through a screen, I said. Not after 6 years of silence. Noah, it's midnight. I know. You don't have to. I do. I grabbed my keys. I'm not waiting another night. I ended the call and walked out into the rain. The drive felt longer than it should have. Every red light gave me too much time to think. Every drop on the windshield felt like a memory. All the nights we talked until sunrise. All the almost confessions I swallowed. By the time I reached her building, my hands were shaking. Chloe opened the door before I knocked. If you hurt her, I swear. I'm not here to hurt her, I said. She studied me for a second, then stepped aside. Maya was in the living room. Same oversized sweater. Arms wrapped around herself. Like she was holding something in. Her eyes met mine. Neither of us spoke. Then she whispered, You didn't have to come. I did. She shook her head. You could have waited until morning. I couldn't. Silence. Then she said, You only came because you feel guilty. I stepped closer. No, I said. I came because I'm done pretending. Her eyes searched mine. What if you hadn't heard me? She asked quietly. Would you still be here? Honest answer. No, I said. I would have kept lying to both of us. Tears welled up again. I'm sorry, I said, for taking 6 years to say this. Don't apologize, she whispered. I'm not going to lose you, I said. Not anymore. The space between us disappeared slowly. What if this ruins everything? She asked. I don't want everything the way it was, I said. I want the truth. Her voice shook. Then don't do this if you're going to regret it tomorrow. I reached up and brushed her hair back. I'm not going to regret it. Then I kissed her. Slow. Careful. Like something that had been waiting years to finally happen. When we pulled apart, her forehead rested against mine. We're idiots, I whispered. The worst kind, she said softly. And for the first time in 6 years, there was nothing left unsaid between us. But I'm more scared of going back to the way things were. We stood there in the middle of her living room, rain still tapping against the windows, both of us still catching our breath. And for the first time in 6 years, there was nothing left between us except the truth. And it felt like something inside me had finally come home. After that night, nothing went back to normal. We didn't wake up the next morning pretending the kiss had never happened. We didn't slip back into best friends, like it was still a safe place to hide. Something had shifted between us, and neither of us tried to undo it. Maya still lived with Chloe. I still lived in my small apartment in Capitol Hill. But almost every night after work, she ended up at my place. At first, it was just dinner. Then she started leaving small things behind. A hoodie on my chair. A charger in my living room. A toothbrush in my bathroom. Then it became more obvious she wasn't really visiting anymore. Her laptop stayed on my coffee table. Her sketches spread across my desk. Her shoes started lining up next to mine by the door like they had always belonged there. I didn't rush it. I just watched it happen quietly, like something natural finally finding its place. One Saturday morning I opened my closet and stopped. Half of it wasn't mine anymore. Her sweater hung right next to my jackets. Her jeans were folded neatly on the shelf below. A pair of her sneakers sat in the corner like they had always been there. I just stood there, staring at it. Maya walked in from the kitchen holding a glass of water. She saw me and raised an eyebrow. "What are you looking at?" she asked. I didn't realize I was smiling until that moment. "My closet," I said. "Or apparently, our closet." She followed my gaze and paused. For a second she looked guilty, like she had been caught invading space she didn't belong in. Then she shrugged. Maybe I've been slowly moving in, she said lightly. I reached into my nightstand drawer and pulled out something I had been holding onto for weeks. A spare key. I walked over and placed it in her hand. You don't need to sneak in, I said. You can just stay. Maya looked down at it like it might disappear if she blinked. Are you sure? She asked quietly. This isn't just because it's easier? I shook my head. No, I said. It's because I want you here. Not as someone who visits. As someone who belongs here. She didn't speak for a long time. Then she closed her fingers around the key. 2 weeks later, she officially moved in. There was no big speech. No dramatic moment. No carefully planned conversation. It was just boxes. Stairs. Arguments about where the couch should go. And the sudden realization that loving someone in theory is very different from living with them in reality. Maya was messier than I expected. She left coffee cups everywhere like they multiplied on their own. Her sketches somehow covered every surface within 48 hours. I, on the other hand, stayed up too late, forgot meals, and disappeared into editing work like I could live off deadlines and caffeine. We clashed over small things. She hated that I skipped food when I was working. I hated that she said, "I'm fine," when she clearly wasn't. One night it finally snapped. I forgot a dinner reservation she had been excited about for weeks. She stood in the kitchen, arms folded tight, eyes glossy but controlled. "I don't think this works if we actually live together," she said. "I'm scared that once you see all of me, you'll realize I'm not as easy to love as you think." I walked over slowly and gently pulled her arms down. "You're not easy to love because you're perfect," I said. "You're easy to love because it's you." She didn't answer. She just stepped into me and held on like she had been holding everything in alone for too long. After that, the apartment stopped feeling like mine. It started feeling like ours. Her presence filled it in quiet ways. The sound of her keyboard at night. Her half-finished coffee cups in the morning. Her voice calling from the kitchen. "Noah, are you actually eating or surviving on vibes again?" And for the first time in a long time, I stopped feeling like I was just passing through my own life. I felt like I was staying somewhere. Then one morning, everything shifted. I woke up and heard Maya on the phone near the window. Her voice was different. Controlled. Serious. I caught fragments. "Dad. The stores. I'll think about it." When she hung up, she didn't move for a while. Then she sat on the edge of the bed and told me everything. Her family owned a small chain of home stores in Oregon. Candles, crafts, local goods. Her father had built it from one shop into 5 over decades. Now his health was failing. And her family wanted her back. Not for a visit. To take over. I sat there quietly, trying not to react too fast. But inside, something dropped. Because everything had just started to feel stable. Her clothes were in my drawers. Her toothbrush was still in my bathroom. Her life had just finally started blending with mine. And now it might all split again. "Do you want to go?" I asked. Maya didn't answer immediately. "I love my dad," she said quietly. "And I know what that store means to him." Then she looked at me. "But I don't know if I can go back and lose everything I've built here." "And us?" I asked. That question hit harder than anything else. "That's the part one don't know how to answer," she said. She went back to Oregon for 3 days. The apartment felt wrong in a way I couldn't explain. Her hoodie was still on the chair. Her cup was still in the sink. Her tea box still sat untouched on the counter. Everything said she existed here. But nothing said she was staying. On the second night she called me. Video this time. No accidental webcam. No mistake. Just her sitting in her childhood room, surrounded by old shelves and memories. She looked exhausted. "My dad wants me to come back," she said. I didn't answer right away. Because whatever I said mattered too much. So I asked the only honest question. "What do you want?" Maya looked down. I want to help him, she said. But I don't want to lose the life I finally built. That sentence stayed with me. The next day, her family sat together. Her mother wanted her back immediately. Her brother was practical, almost blunt. If you don't take over, we'll probably lose the business eventually, he said. Her father said less, but his silence carried more weight than anything. Maya stood in the middle of the kitchen she grew up in. Then she made her decision. I'll help, she said. But I'm not moving back. The room went still. I'll rebuild the online side, she continued. Website, orders, shipping, everything. I'll fly back when I need to. But I'm not leaving my life in Seattle. Her mother asked quietly, because of him? Maya hesitated. Partly, she said. But not only because of him. She looked at her father. This is the first life I've ever chosen for myself. That night she called me again. I'm coming back, she said. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. What about everything there? I asked. I'll manage it from here, she said. But I'm not giving up what I built with you. 3 days later, she came back. She dropped her suitcase in the middle of my living room and looked around. This time, she said, I'm not pretending I just forgot to leave. I walked over and picked it up. Then don't, I said. Stay. From that point on, we built something different. Maya worked during the day. At night, she rebuilt her father's business from our living room. I helped where I could. Filming, editing, product shots, short videos for social media. Slowly, things started moving. Orders came in from places her family store had never reached before. One night we were sitting on the floor surrounded by shipping boxes when her laptop pinged. 500 orders that month. Maya stared at the screen, eyes wet. I think he's going to be okay, she whispered. I pulled her closer. And you? I asked. She leaned her head against me. I think I finally am too. Her webcam was still open from a video call earlier. We didn't notice at first. Our reflection sat faintly on the screen. 2 people on the floor in the middle of a life we didn't plan, but chose anyway. I glanced at her. So, I said, are you going to turn that off? Maya smiled. No, she said. I don't think I need to hide anything anymore. I looked at her. Then say it, I said. She turned fully toward me. Come. Certain. I love you, she said. And I'm staying. I squeezed her hand. I love you too. And this time, there was no accident. No mistake. No confession hidden behind a screen. Just 2 people who had spent years running from the same truth, finally choosing to live in it.